right. I am not coming to you from a beautiful park, everyone. I am coming to you for today's broadcast from amazing, beautiful Eastern Oregon. I am over in Fossil, Oregon currently, but I have been volunteering in my daughter's outdoor science camp at John Day Fossil Beds, and it's been so beautiful. I was sharing that really, that phrase youth is wasted on youth, on the young people. Is that how it goes? Something like that. It's like I remember being at my version of science camp when I was 11 and super not caring about about science, and I'm witnessing that here as well, and then just watching all the adults like just our eyes open, oh my god, this is amazing, and finally tuning in and understanding just time and science and the amazing, we had lunch with a 50 million year old fossilized tree. Just amazing, totally fascinating. And I've been borrowing all of these lessons that I'm learning and absorbing that I probably learned in middle school as well, but did not actually learn, didn't absorb. And been using them as inspiration. In fact, the podcast that just came out today was inspired by this relationship in ecology around the relationships between things, and it was a beautiful metaphor for relationships between humans. So if you get a chance and you're listening to the Rewired podcast, do check that one out. But I'm also going to use it today for today's mindfulness broadcast. And what I was witnessing is we had a group of about 20 seventh graders, and we went into this room with all of these amazing fossils. And they were talking about, each other and laughing and each other's shoes, and they weren't paying attention at all. And then their instructor started this exercise, and it lasted for about 30 minutes. And the room went quiet, and their attention was brought to what was happening in the room. And he held them there using this exercise, and then used it as a metaphor for life and how our attention is such a powerful force. And it's also this commodity that everybody, including corporations and businesses, are vying for. And then went on to talk about social media, and it was really beautiful. So the exercise is I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. And so what they did is they went and they got a fossil that they were able to hold. And again, just the depth of holding something that is millions of years old. And they're looking at it and they're noticing it. And he's asking them to silently just jot down, what am I noticing, without any judgment at all. So I'm noticing that there's a curl right here. I'm noticing that there's a different color over here. I'm noticing that it just ends. And so they write this down, and he held them there for about 5 minutes. And every time they would try to tell a story about it, like, so I wonder what happened, he would bring them back to, we're just noticing. And then transitioned into, I wonder what the life was like for this thing. I wonder what happened that it was captured so quickly and fossilized. I wonder where the rest of it went. I wonder what life was like, because what I'm looking at is a blossom from a chocolate plant, right? Or a palm tree in Eastern Oregon, where there's hardly any trees at all, and it's just juniper. So I wonder, what was life like here? And then the next step, and again, holding them there. And then the next step was to say, it reminds me of. So it reminds me of this time I did this thing. It reminds me of the story that I heard. It reminds me of this lesson that I had learned a while ago, or whatever. So we're connecting it then to our present body of knowledge, right? Or experiences we've had. And then they got together and they shared it with each other. And the whole room that had just walked right by these things, like, yep, there they are, fossils, in a microsecond, had then been invited to really mindfully place their attention on there. And then we held it with magic for about 30 minutes. And of course, it made me think about us and life and how we do that all the time and how we cruise along and something else is guiding our attention, be it a report that's due, a proposal that's due, an outcome that has to happen, a bell that needs to ring, whatever it is, we're being led around by whatever it is that has our attention, and how we can build the muscle, quote unquote, to really drop in and be present when needed or desired and own our attention. So, with that, let's get into our practice today. Mindfulness practice hones our ability to place our attention somewhere on purpose. And so, we're going to go to the brain gym right now. So, close your eyes or take a soft gaze and take a big, beautiful, wonderful breath. And just place your attention right now on your big toe, if you can, if you have one. And whatever version of that you need to do, you can do. To place your attention on your big toe. Maybe wiggle it around. Notice if you have a shoe on or a sock on. Can you feel that texture? If I wiggle my toe up, I can feel the nail bed pushing against the top of my shoe. I can feel the cushion of my Converse, my Chucks. And then I can push a little farther and I can feel that cushioning hit the concrete floor of the motel that I'm in. Just notice it. Maybe you can feel your other toe lying against or making contact with your big toe. Notice the temperature. And now take that attention and place it on your forehead. And again, modifying whatever version of this you need to. Again, noticing all there is. Maybe you feel hair against your forehead or the lack of hair against your forehead. Just placing your attention right there. Noticing maybe you're moving it up and down and you notice your ability to do that or your inability to do that. Maybe you can kind of feel where your eyebrows are framing in that forehead. You might notice that there's tension held there, and what happens when you just invite ease. And then I'm going to have you play a little bit with this exercise that I was introducing. And we're going to stay with the forehead. You can use the toe if you'd like, and you can also do this with any other part of your body. I want you to wonder about your forehead. I wonder when did it get all these lines? Is maybe what I'm wondering. How did I get to be 52 almost? I wonder why emotions are expressed so vividly in my forehead. Angry, surprise, delight. It's like a billboard for my emotions. I'm going to go silent and I want you to wonder. And notice if your attention starts to drift a little bit, or if your busy mind starts to get involved and say, what a waste of time. I have so much to do. Why am I here wondering about my forehead? That's just discomfort. It's just the busy brain being uncomfortable in just being focused, being in control of your attention. So just notice that and then return to the wondering. Wonder what my forehead would look like if I actually had color in my eyebrows, or eyebrows at all. And then finally, I want you to transition to the last part of that exercise, which is it reminds me of. More and more, my forehead reminds me of my mother's forehead, which reminds me of my grandma's forehead. It reminds me of how often I am telling my children no with just my forehead, expressing my displeasement of what they're doing or saying and trying to shut them down with just my forehead. Reminds me of noticing my children when they wake up late on a Saturday morning and they walk into the living room and I greet them. The hello, good morning. And my whole forehead is saying, I love you. It reminds me of. And again, notice your busy brain. It reminds me of. All right. I'm going to release your attention and have you just come back to your breath, breathing in and breathing out, and thinking about the many ways that our attention is controlled by external factors, and thinking about how we might use this exercise, even if just for 60 seconds or 90 seconds. Thinking about where we can slowly train our brain to place our attention where we want to place it, and then how we expand time when we do that. So before I grab my phone or I log in or as I'm leaving work, can I just take 60 seconds, open up the back door of the office, and even if I'm staring at a parking lot, just ask myself, what do I notice? And what do I wonder? Like just this crack in the concrete, what do I notice? What do I wonder? What does it remind me of? When you're ready, you can slowly lift your gaze or open up your eyes.